like it was for me the quintessential college experience. Like I was living on my own. I lived with Craig all 4 years, so it was like
So moving on, yeah, so we already did high school. So Michigan, the Michigan experience, like what was that like? Because you studied acting in Michigan, right?
yeah.
What, that's got to be crazy.
Yeah,
And
it
and good
was
and bad ways, yeah.
because mostly good.
No,
Again,
wow.
it continued to teach me, college is when I truly learned like life balance, like the the structure of my home life and the support of my family. It wasn't taken away necessarily, but yeah, like most people do when they go to college, you got to figure out like by your by my junior year, it's like, all right, I probably shouldn't stay up till 3:30 in the morning because I have to be up at 7:30 and like I have a 10-hour day. So, but it was amazing. It was I'll comment on something else in a second, but like it was for me the quintessential college experience. Like I was living on my own. I lived with Craig all 4 years, so it was like living with my best friend. And
Wow, I didn't
I'm
know that.
finally have been given the opportunity to study, like really focus on doing what I love, right? And what, like, I'm there. It was like, this is step one, even though there were other steps prior, but like this is like the big first step in the process towards achieving my dreams. And so I as you said with other stuff, I took that aspect very seriously, but I also took the social aspect very seriously. So yeah, Michigan is like, I don't know, I think there were like 600 some people that auditioned for the program in my class,
Exactly, yeah.
and there was I think we started off with like 12 of us, finished with maybe like 9, something like that, because a couple
Wow.
people, people figure things out. And
Yeah.
but it was like three-quarters of my curriculum was studying acting, like really focusing on that. And it was wild because everybody else in my class, like theater was their life. Like we're talking about like the Vardar and the and it's like that's what they did. Like, and I was don't get me wrong, like I was a huge part of the theater community at Heritage, and I did show choir, and like, so that was a big part of my life. But I it was always like a small section, piece of the pie, and so these people were so educated in the world of um, theater, and had been exposed and read so many more plays and new playwrights, and their background in education was just, and they had, that was their thing. So I step in and I'm just like, hey, I want to be funny and this is fun. And so it was just a different dynamic. And I also like was this, jock that for better or for worse, like we all grew up as jocks, and that is
Yeah,
a that's a pretty specific culture.
yeah,
uh
especially wrestling.
uh yeah, right, yeah, I mean, but so it was cool because yet again I find myself amongst a group of people I'm not quite familiar with. I mean, of course I didn't know any of them because we hadn't met before, but also they just grew up in a very different world, in that respect. And that was cool. I learned a lot from them, and but it was back to that discipline of like, well, I need to be the best. I want to be the best, knowing full well that like I'm not going to be the best, but wanting to achieve that thing, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. And so it was a strong mix of that and rugby parties.
Rugby parties. Did you play
Because
rugby?
No, I would have if
Yeah,
I wasn't
it seems like you
acting.
really would have. Yeah, yeah.
But I will, yeah. So Craig and Kurt Klein and Dave Thalen, they all played rugby, and Craig eventually was the captain of the team. So Craig was the
Wow, cool,
captain of the University of Michigan rugby team. So then I
cool.
eventually lived in a house with these guys, and it was
Uh,
literally like, Daryl, this could have been a reality show. It's like 5 rugby players and a Shakespearean actor. And but
let's get a
so,
pitch for it.
yeah, so there was that kind of dichotomy of that party life and that sports jock culture. But my days were full. I mean, I had a full course load all 4 years, and I would go class all day, rehearsal at night. But that was very similar to what I had in high school. Like, that was
Yeah,
my
see
life in high school.
that discipline. Yeah.
So
How
it
many
it,
shows
it
did you guys
was
put on in like 4 years? You think? Is it like
well,
tons and tons, or is it like
well.
eight?
So like, so the university, the department does, I think, 4 or 5 main stage shows a year, and that's in like the big university theaters. and
Wow.
and then, of course, like any other university, there's a lot of like student run clubs and different that. So I think I clocked it at one point. I did like 24 or 26 shows over the course of my 4 years there.
Wow. Wow.
um some really tiny parts, some like huge crazy, but yeah, it was great. It was a phenomenal education and a phenomenal experience. And but